So in this video, I want to talk about why is sleep important for students, particularly teenagers. So what are some of the reasons that teenagers deprive themselves from sleep? One of the main things would be binge watching, and this falls under entertainment. So for some of you guys who are not familiar with that term, all it means is you sit down and you watch several episodes, one after the other in one sitting. Now, even as adults, we tend to do this sometimes, and I empathize with teenagers because the way the episodes are even designed is it leaves you with a cliffhanger. So at the end of the episode, it leaves you restless. You cannot sleep because you need to know what's going to happen next. Another reason that teenagers deprive themselves from sleep is social media. So for me, I know I enjoy watching YouTube videos a lot. I know for kids, it's YouTube Shorts. I think for teenagers, it's TikTok a lot, as well as WhatsApp and Instagram. And these things are designed to be addictive because the algorithm is designed to recommend videos that grab your attention. Another reason that teenagers deprive themselves from sleep is anxiety, particularly around exam times. Now, there are two types of students. Maybe you can go to sleep without having covered all your notes, but the other type of student, if you're anything like me, is that you cannot sleep because there is a sense of restlessness that if I don't read every single thing that I'm supposed to and it comes, then I'm not going to do well. Now, this is a result of procrastination. Maybe that needs a whole separate video where throughout the term, we don't study and we leave it for the last minute. I've been in a place where I've had 3 exams in university finals back to back. It was one of the craziest experiences because I barely slept for 3 days. Now, how much sleep do we really need? Now, research has shown that as adults, we need 7 to 7.5 hours of sleep a night, whereas teenagers need at least 9 to 10 hours of sleep a night. Now, this is the thing. Research has also shown that when our sleep cycles are interrupted, meaning we're waking, we're not getting the amount we're supposed to, we don't actually realize how much of a deficit of sleep we are in. Now, I found that word really interesting, deficit, because you think of a business, right? Now, when a business is in deficit, it could still function. It could still operate from day to day, but there will come a time if you don't take care of that deficit, that business will go bankrupt and it will have to close its doors and can't function. And I thought it's similar with our bodies that sometimes we miss sleep and we could function, so we tell ourselves we're okay. But as that deficit of sleep accumulates, there will come a time where your body will shut down, where you'll feel the effects on your body and your mind. Now, personally for me, I feel it the next day. If I don't get enough sleep, then I cannot function. Like, I physically feel sick. I physically feel like I can't keep my eyes open. Now that you know the amount of time you need to sleep every day, to get access to a free sleep tracker, sign up for my newsletter, which will be sent at the end of this week. And that's just the beginning. In upcoming newsletters, I'll be sharing even more free resources, including lesson ideas designed specifically for educators. So what are some of the reasons we should get enough sleep as students? Number 1 is consolidation of memory. Now, consolidation, in a simple term, it means that it takes your short-term memory and converts it to long-term memory. So short-term memory is whatever you are able to retain for 15 to 30 seconds. So let's say I'm trying to memorize a phone number. I memorize it, I punch it in. A minute later, I can't tell you what that phone number was because it was just in my short-term memory. That's why a lot of the times when you pull all-nighters and you go in to write an exam, you're telling yourself, but I just read this last night, why can't I remember? Because that was just short-term. It never really went into your long-term memory because you actually never consolidated it. So I think the question is, for students, if you're a guidance counselor or a teacher and you're speaking to students, to get them to think, what is your goal of going to school? Is it just to pass an exam? Is it just to get an A? Or do you actually want to be able to retain what you have learned for the long term? So for example, looking back at a subject like biology, I wish I could have been able to retain what I had learned, but I didn't because a lot of it was just cramming. I can apply that now to health, I can apply that now to psychology that I'm learning. When it comes to Spanish, again, it was a lot of cramming. So even today, where we have a lot of migration to our country, and you really want to be able to communicate to kids who are Spanish or adolescents who are Spanish, you are not able to because it's not something you actually retained. So the question you really have to ask yourself is, what is your goal of school? If it's to actually use this in real life, then you have to make sure and get enough sleep and not procrastinate through the term so you can actually store this information in your long-term memory. The second reason is emotional regulation. Being able to regulate anger, annoyance, restlessness, and anxiety can help us as students navigate an already stressful period. So research has shown that a lack of sleep increases our sensitivity, both emotionally and socially. In a study conducted, it showed that those who were sleep deprived responded to low stressors in the same way those who slept well responded to high stressors. Now, what that means is if you experience a highly stressful situation, let's say you've thrown down your phone or your laptop and it's broken, and now you've lost maybe assignments or information, you're going to respond the same way if you've just thrown down, let's say, a cup of coffee. There's no difference. And someone like that, who's that sensitive and reactive, is not very nice to be around. Another study showed that adolescents who restricted to 5 hours of sleep were significantly more depressed, angry, and confused. So your lack of emotional regulation on top of all the compounded feelings you have around exam time is something that's going to even throw you off more from being able to study your work properly. The third reason why sleep is important is it helps you to sustain attention and to think clearly. Scientists have shown that after 16 hours of continuous wakefulness, one's cognitive performance begins to decline. So let's start from 12 noon one day, 12 midnight, that's 12 hours, 13, 14, 15, 16, you're still waking, 17, 18, 19, 20. Let's say around 7 or 8 a.m. the next day, you're already 20 hours sleep deprived. Your cognitive performance has already begun to decline. Now, when you're half asleep or you're zoned out, these are times in class you have to make up for, especially when it comes to subjects that builds on one topic from the previous, so mathematics. If I miss a maths class or a stats class in university, I was gone. I remember failing those subjects because after a point I gave up. When you miss one class, two class, and it was because of sleep deprivation, you tend to fall behind so quickly on certain subjects. So given these studies, I hope I've convinced you as a student of the importance of sleep. And as a teacher or guidance counselor, I hope these points could really help you to communicate to students to convince them that their sleep is important. It's not something that you can just make up for by sleeping in on the weekends, because it's something that accumulates. It requires intentionality for us to take care of our bodies and of our minds every single day.